Welcome to an episode of the Myrrh-Bearing Millennial Podcast. I'm your host, Jill, and as a full-time homemaker, homesteader, and homeschooling stay-at-home mom, I'm on a mission to help moms find joy and fulfillment in their marriage, motherhood, and business, all while growing deeper in their Christian faith. Each week, we'll discuss relevant topics that I pray will help you strengthen your marriage, gain confidence as a mom, grow a profit to support your family from home, and bring you closer to Christ. As someone who endured childhood trauma, abusive relationships, and has learned the hard way that feminism has been harming women and weakening the family unit more than it's been doing good, I'm here to share with you what's possible, to show you the power that God intended for women, and to help you harness the beauty, grace, and entrepreneurial mind that is the Proverbs 31 woman we all strive to be. So let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today I'm diving into actually a conversation that started whenever a friend of ours from church messaged my husband and I on Facebook asking a question about our Orthodox conversion. So he is getting ready to propose to his girlfriend, which we're all excited for, but she is Roman Catholic and he's having a hard time. He would love for her to come to the church, but she has no desire to. And so his question to me was, what made me finally agree to convert with my husband, since my husband was the one that found Orthodoxy first? And for those who don't know, I will summarize my story as quickly as humanly possible. But basically, I came into the Orthodox faith kind of kicking and screaming. My husband found Orthodoxy first and instantly fell in love. And the first ever Orthodox experience I had was Pascha. And half of it was in Slavonic. I didn't understand anything. And I was singing in 3 other services for the non-denominational church that I was attending the same weekend as Pascha. So I was very overwhelmed. I went and I slept in the truck and I was angry at my husband. I also was afraid that Orthodoxy was like Roman Catholicism. I personally have a distaste in my mouth whenever it comes to the Catholic Church. I've had some bad experiences with the Catholic Church, and I was afraid that the Orthodox Church was going to be just like it. And I was like, no, absolutely not having any part of this. So there was a big divide between my husband and I in our faith when he was finding Orthodoxy. And I know a lot of people will say that money or loss or other factors outside of faith are what cause the biggest divides in marriages. I'm here to tell you that no, the biggest divide that can happen in a marriage is a difference of faith. Okay, because at your core, your faith is the most important thing to you. Your salvation should be the most important thing to you. And so when you and your husband disagree on what church you're going to attend, it divides your family, it divides your children, it creates a distrust in whose faith is better, quote unquote, which is more truthful and so forth. And it definitely caused a rift between my husband and I when he started attending the Orthodox Church and I was attending a non-denominational church. And I didn't like that. So when our friend reached out and asked what it was that helped me basically follow my husband's lead in converting, it came down to 3 primary things that helped me also fall in love with the Orthodox Church and convert with my husband. The first was the adult education classes that I attended after Pascha. So when I disliked it and I was like, absolutely not, and I slept in the truck, I still, he's still my husband. He's my best friend and I love him more than anyone in the world, and wanted to still understand what it was that he was doing. So the priest at the time was hosting these adult education classes where you could come and you can learn about the Orthodox Church and the faith and the beliefs and the theology and all the things. And when I went, I found myself going, I agree. That makes sense. Okay. And I understood it all. And even things that may have challenged me a little bit were more of things that like I've been wanting to improve those areas of my life, and the Orthodox Church created the way for me to be able to do that. Like I was convicted, like, ooh, here's an opportunity of growth that I've been looking for, and I didn't know that it existed in the Orthodox Church like that. And I fell in love with it through the adult education classes. And so when we were moving to South Carolina, there was one Orthodox church in Charleston that was an OCA, Orthodox Church of America. And I told my husband, I was like, when we get there, we will make that our family church. I will go with you. And when we got there is whenever I truly just fell in love with the liturgical practices of the church, and we became very close with parishioners. We created a church family there, and I loved every second of it. And so when the time came for us to be chrismated and join the church, I was very excited for that journey for our family. So the first reason of why what brought me to follow my husband was the adult education. Like, learning more about the church before really being in the church is what worked for me. I know some people will say, like, just go to liturgy and it'll help. For me, it didn't. I was very overwhelmed. I didn't understand what was being said. Like I said, half of it was in Slavonic anyways. And Pascha is vastly different from the rest of Divine Liturgy because it's Easter, so it's a big celebration. So there was just a lot. So for me, it helped to learn about the church, so that way when I was in liturgy, I could understand what the church was doing better. So that helped. The second thing was that my husband never forced it on me. Never. There was one time he did talk about wanting to put a prayer corner up, and I was like, what? I don't want a bunch of icons in my house. No. Now our prayer corner is in our living room, and it's my favorite corner of the house. So funny how times have changed. But he never ever forced it on me. If I asked questions, he'd give answers. Of course, there was little times he was excited, but it was never like I had to go with him. There were only 2 times he really wanted me to be at church with him. And the first was Pascha to try it. And the second was when he was made a catechumen. And of course, I'd want to go support him for that. So those were the only 2 times he really was like, come with me to church. Other than that, he didn't force it, which I respected very, very much, because it's really hard to be drugged into something. He gave me a lot more grace, honestly, in just kind of learning about it myself, and I appreciated that. The third reason that helped me really follow him was trusting in his ability to lead our family. And that's what men are called to do, right? When your husband loves you the way Christ loved the church, and he truly puts the needs and the well-being of your family before anything else, and genuinely just wants to grow your family and improve your family, then you need to trust him to do that. God called him to do that for a reason. And that's what I needed to do. I needed to trust my husband, and trusting in him to lead us through this conversion into Orthodoxy was the best decision our family has ever made. It has made a world of a difference, and we just absolutely love Orthodoxy so much. I mean, it's a way of life. No one can truly teach Orthodoxy. It's a way of life. And I am so thankful that God spoke to him and told him about Orthodoxy, and that he has gently led our family through that conversion. There's an interesting statistic that 95% of men who convert to Orthodoxy first, the family will convert then with them. But it's only about 40% of women who, if the women convert to Orthodoxy first, only 40% of the family will follow the woman. So that's actually something we're talking about in church, is how we can help improve that statistic. But it goes to show too the natural born leaders that are the husbands, the men of the family. And so those are what it came down to. The first was the adult education classes made a world of a difference in learning about Orthodoxy. The second was him not forcing anything on me or really pushing it on me. He just gave me the grace and peace to be able to learn about it myself. And the third was trusting in him as the leader of our home to lead our family through that conversion. So if you have any questions about Orthodoxy or questions about our conversion or what that all looks like, feel free to comment below. I'm happy to answer them in the Q&A at the end of the month, but also through Instagram, or you can send me an email at jillhughes@myrrh-bearingmillennial.com. So thanks guys for listening today, and we'll chat again soon. God bless.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you loved what you heard today, please give the show a rating, share it to your Instagram, and be sure to tag me. This will help the show reach more moms just like you. If you're curious about any of my resources, be sure to click the link in the show notes, and feel free to email me at jillhughes@myrrh-bearingmillennial.com. That's all for now, and we'll chat again soon. God bless.